Oh yeah, it's time to own the chuds, guys. 3 million players have enjoyed Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's 3 million players that have been able to experience how great this game is. Okay, it's literally printing money with those 3 million players. Not sales. Okay, we don't need to go ahead and go into the nitty gritty on this. Ubisoft is saying, okay, it's the second highest day one revenue in Assassin's Creed franchise history. What exactly does that mean? It doesn't matter because there are 3 million people playing. It's the biggest Ubisoft day one ever on the PlayStation Digital Store. On the Digital Store, we're not even factoring in physical copies. That's how good this game is. And we got the best community ever. Mic drop, game over. Until you start to do the logical thing of saying, okay, cool, you've got 3 million players. Does that just mean activation? Does that mean people handing the controller over? When the blue hell is 3 million players, actually? And you know, that's just not me asking the question. That's not several other content creators asking the question. Also, IGN asking the question. You know you messed up when IGN is trying to hold you to task. Assassin's Creed Shadows, now up to 3 million players. But still no sales figures for Ubisoft. But they'll release other sales figures, like selling off to Tencent 25% of their new subsidiary. Interesting, right? That's how big of a success Assassin's Creed Shadow was. They have to partition off a vast majority of their company. Assassin's Creed Shadows has seen over 3 million players since launch. Ubisoft has announced the player milestone comes 7 days after Shadows launched on May 20th, and it is up to 2 million reported on day 2. And then, yeah, it took them 5 additional days to come up with another million players. Yeah, so funny, right? Because in a similar time frame, Monster Hunter Wilds came out and said, hey, we got 8 million units sold. Okay, Kingdom Come Deliverance in the first 24 hours, 1 million copies sold. Okay, in what was it, 5 days as well, 2 million copies sold. So funny. It's so funny when a game is actually doing good, when it is generating a profit, they are not shy about coming forward and saying how much of a success it was. But Ubisoft will tell you how many people have played the game. That's nice. Other stats reported by Ubisoft today were already revealed by IGN's coverage of the Eternal email, and the company contextualized Shadow's opening weekend performance, saying it's better compared to Origins and Odyssey, and rather than don't compare it to Valhalla, because that's the outlier, right? Because it came out in 2020, everybody was locked down, and yeah, it was a point in time where everybody didn't have a disfavorable opinion about Assassin's Creed, and their whole RPG relaunch wasn't quite as stale as it was this time around. Like, bugs were a little bit more appreciated. It was more of a kink in the system than a folly in the system. So don't worry about it too much, right? But Shadow saw the second highest day one sales revenue in Assassin's Creed franchise history, behind only Valhalla. But yeah, you could take a look at their actual popular games that managed to get spin-offs. Assassin's Creed 2, how it had Brotherhood and Revelations, how the original had a DS spin-off, and how 3 ended up getting PS3 and Xbox 360 exclusive when Black Flag was moving to the next generation. Rogue was out there as well. But yeah, the biggest digital release. But yeah, factoring in all of those old games that used to sell in the 7-digit club, 8-digit club. But this one, hey man, Shadow's got 3 million players. It's just, where is everybody playing? That's what I want to know. Okay, because you got Schedule 1, once again, bring it up. I brought it up beforehand, and yeah, it is absolutely dicking down Assassin's Creed Shadows Yasuke long dick style. Bow, wow, 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 wow. Schedule 1 just hit a new peak on Steam solely by word of mouth. The last time I fired up Steam, it was just to make sure that, when I'm eventually going to have the time and the opportunity to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again on PC. Love that game. Still great a year afterwards. Can't recommend it enough, and I can't wait to be able to do a good review on it. I just need to, carve out some time, maybe over the summer. Who knows? There was a big banner ad for Schedule 1, and I don't know if that's Steam getting on the bandwagon, ex post facto, but yeah, it's not solely by word of mouth, but yeah, it getting to 140,000 play. That's crazy, man. That is absolutely insane. And compare that with Assassin's Creed Shadows, yeah, you got 36,000 people, 64,825 people, that's going to be the peak of it. It'll be lucky to get 3/4 of that this weekend and a second weekend of launch. Because here's the thing, man. Like, you see the shills that are out there. Oh, it's fun. It's a return to form. It's like, okay, cool. Can you give me a substantive critique? It's a return to form. Okay, a return to form of what? The games that I gave up on a decade ago? Yeah, that. No, wait. Shut up. You're just racist because you don't like black people. Oh, whatever, man. I'll just play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I'm such a hater of black people. But yeah, it looks like more of those racists that are out there are playing the drug dealer game. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, how does an indie game with a non-existent budget annihilate a quadruple A game with an estimated $400 million budget? Easy. It makes something that's fun. It's not a buggy disaster that doesn't insult vast swaths of people, which is what we're going to look at here. Yeah, physical sales for the week of release of Assassin's Creed Shadows in Japan, okay, provided by Famitsu. And we've talked about the controversies with the Japanese people for a very long time, because as many issues as you and I might have for this project, the Japanese people and the Japanese government have a exponential number of reasons to be upset with Ubisoft. 17,701 copies on PS5. Xbox is just such an insignificant player in Japan. Always has been, and now the fact that, Xbox can't even define what an Xbox is. They point to a trans man and say that's an Xbox. That's a smart joke. Maybe double or triple that number for digital. Maybe. Xenoblade, by the way, okay, Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is that a remake of the original one that came out when, oh my god, what was the story behind that one? I remember there were 3 JRPGs that were coming out on the Wii that couldn't find distribution in the West, and then through GameStop, which used to be viable at that point in time, decided to put them out, and Xenoblade Chronicles was the only one worth a damn. So yeah, if it's getting a proper port on Switch, I might have to pick that up, because that was always the game that I really wanted to get, and I just stupidly didn't get it at the time. And yeah, now the Wii copy is like extremely rare and extremely through the roof. I forget what the other 2 games were, but they didn't end up amounting to much. But the fact that there are still people out there, playing and en masse buying ports like that, because you take a look at what else is there. Okay, you got a PS5 game, well, actually Altair Yumia, sure, and then Monster Hunter Wilds on PS5. Yeah, 20,000 copies moved, and physical copies, it's crossed a 750,000, 763,490 copies. That's wild. And Super Mario Party, a Jamboree, over 1.2 million copies. Holy shit, man. But a fair distribution, actually. 5 and 5? PS5 and Nintendo Switch titles on that list? That's wild, man. Shadows can't even beat Monster Hunter in its opening week, even though that game has been out since mid or the beginning of February. I can't remember. It's been out for a few weeks at this point in time. Yeah, people are loving that game. For as many people who are playing Sked 1, they're still playing Monster Hunter Wilds, because it's actually enjoyable. Might have had a buggy launch, and so did Assassin's Creed Shadows, but guess what? One had gameplay, the other had historical degeneracy, which the Japanese people aren't exactly that forgiving about, because digging even deeper into the numbers, well, you're rewarded with more affirmation. The Chuds win once again. Assassin's Creed Shadows sales are in Japan dropped 60% from Valhalla. Well, see, Valhalla, according to Ubisoft, it was a perfect storm, so why are you making that comparison? The general public in Japan showed no interest in the game at all, and the vast majority of Japanese gamers chose not to buy it. Because, yeah, you take a look at Assassin's Creed games in general in Japan, you got Odyssey, 45,000, you got Valhalla, 45,000, so yeah, Odyssey was the one that ended up selling the best. Interesting. PS4, PS5 for Mirage, 28,000, and Shadows, 17,000. Now that's in their first week. Oof, that's tough, man. That is big tough. But yeah, other games set in Japan: Rise of the Ronin, Neo 1 and 2, and of course the big winner that's out there, Ghost of Tsushima, 212,915 units sold. Yeah, it's a little bit better than all of Assassin's Creed. full stop. Okay, Rise of the Ronin, that's just a PS5 exclusive, by the way, 64,646. Interesting how that all lines up. And then Neo 1, and then Neo 2 ends up growing on that one. But hey, Assassin's Creed, man, like it's a super popular, it's a very strong IP, so much so that China had to come in and save the day so Ubisoft didn't end up having to close. But I think Japan kind of leading the charge on the overall sentiment that this game's ass. Japan's government worried about imitation attacks based on Assassin's Creed Shadows. What are we talking about here? Japan's government recently convened to discuss a series of topics in a diet. Yes, which is one of the most recent controversies surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows. A diet, by the way, is the equivalent of a congressional meeting or a session in the House of Commons, depending on where you're at. Okay. The game's more scandalous scenes have showed Yasuke, an African samurai, destroying shrines, sequences, which have naturally prompted concerns in the Japanese government. And yeah, we've talked about that as well. I've shown a couple of clips, or at least linked out to a 7-minute long clip that is out there. And yeah, Japanese politicians, they don't like it at all. They don't want you going in and busting up their cultural icons. And it's like, that's fair. That's fair. You don't want that. Ubisoft should not included that. If you want to just have the shrines that are there, if you want them represented in the game because they were there at the time and, in the proper historical context, you could go in. Just don't make them destructible. Show a little bit of respect and restraint, right? Well, apparently the big brains over at The Gamer, we should get to destroy shrines in Assassin's Creed Shadows, actually. Because, yeah, according to Tessa Carr, well, yeah, of course, man, cultural disrespect is fine, and I'm sure that she doesn't have, other articles that are out there, and I know that if I did a little bit more research, that this would probably be the time when I could pull something up about how we need to respect LGBTQ plus people or black people or something like that. But hey, if it's all about disrespecting Japanese culture, fuck it, who cares, right? But in this point in time, man, like we're at this point. We're at this point in the stages of grief for Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed defenders. It went from, yeah, the game's a success to, yeah, it really doesn't much matter, but it's still getting played, okay? And we're about to transition into the, yeah, I know the game wasn't that great after all, and it's just, why are you even talking about a game that released like literally a week ago? Because Assassin's Creed has always been bad. Oh no, are you seated? Glass of water, hand to hold. This isn't going to be easy to hear. It won't matter in the slightest because the damage has already been done and I'm riled up and already riled. But I like Assassin's Creed, even love it. But hey, it has always been bad. The Desmond stuff was weird. We just won't, point to the atmospheric brilliance that the first Assassin's Creed had in the 11th century, playing a true assassin in the Middle East. We won't talk about the totally immersive and groundbreaking gameplay that was introduced in Assassin's Creed 2 and then further iterated on in in Brotherhood and Revelations. We won't talk about the shipbuilding combat that was introduced in 3 and fully fleshed out in Black Flag that people to this very day still point to as being the best pirate game on the market. But no. Assassin's Creed has always been bad because this is the way the shit rolls down the hill with these fucking insufferable leftists. The thing that you're complaining about isn't happening. Yeah, it's happening, but it doesn't matter. And now it's happening, but it was always cringe and we didn't do it. The extent that you say that we did. But guess what? We got the receipts this time around and there's only so much cope to go around. You shills are being exposed and it's not like you had a lot of credibility to begin with, but the rest of it is fully evaporated. Oh well. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.